Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday. Well, a lot has changed in the last week, especially in the Middle East. And what does it mean to you? And if you're kind of confused about what's going on in Syria, join the crowd. And then what does it mean? So let me try to lay it out what I believe, who the major players are, what are their motivations, and I'm going to use visual effects. So let's start here. What happened? All right, so not yesterday, but the Sunday before, right, Syria falls to a jihadist group called HTS, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. Guys, the war lasted all of 11 days. The Syrian army laid down their arms without a fight. And right now, Israel is really the only secular government left in the whole region. Everything else is either a priesthood, think ayatollahs in Iran, or kingdoms, think Saudi Arabia, the king and princes and all that, or military dictatorships, think General Sisi in Egypt. Anyway, this whole thing is spinning out, and who's involved? Let's start with the jihadists, the ones who took over, HTS. Then we've got the US, Great Britain, Israel, and of all things, Qatar. That's one team. Then we've got Team Russia, Iran, and Iraq. You've got Turkey, which kind of plays both sides. You've got Syria and Lebanon, of course, involved, Hezbollah. And you've got the Arab League. That's a lot of people in the sandbox, all with different interests. So let's go through them one by one. Let's start with my pages stuck together. Very professional, Greg. Here we go. All right, let's start with the jihadists. Who are these guys? They're a mashup of ISIS and Al Qaeda. They believe they're the true followers of Allah. Not only do they hear from Allah, they are the messengers of Allah. They are the warriors of Allah. They are the judges and executioners of Allah. These were the head choppers of 2015, 2016. This group tried to take over way back then. Syria's government was stronger and they had Russian help and they pushed them off. But let's keep going here on this group. What do they want to do? Here's their leader, Abdul Muhammad al-Jilani. They want to establish a Syrian caliphate, and they want power, control, and money. Oh, and there's a pipeline involved, and we will get to that. All right, then there's Team USA. Team USA, Great Britain, Israel. You can add Qatar to this list right now. What do they want? Well, maintain empire, power, control, money, weaken Russia, discredit Iran. We've got to neuter Hezbollah because that would also help Israel. Derail the BRICS movement. There's that pipeline thing again. And let's talk about Israel here just for a second. Who trained this jihadist group? The US, Great Britain, Israel helped, and Turkey helped. Wait a minute, we're helping Al Qaeda and ISIS? The answer is yes. The reason being, if we could overthrow Assad, who was just got overthrown, he was in cahoots with Iran. And if Iran didn't have a pipeline of logistics and arms and supplies into Syria that funded Hezbollah, if we could cut that off, we could cut off Hezbollah. Thus, we aligned with a repackaged jihadist movement where they said, well, no, we're not head choppers anymore. We're basically terrorists in suits. We will see how this plays out. Was it just a rebranding? How genuine is this? We do know this. They have already declared Sharia law, and the Alawites and the Christians, those who are anti this Muslim group we just talked about, they're fleeing the country. All right, moving on. We have Team Russia, Iran, and Iraq. What were their motives? Well, warm water Mediterranean port for the Russians. And by the way, at this point, they're getting to keep it, which surprises me. The Russians believe they're defending the last bastion of true Christianity. That's an interesting one. The Eastern Orthodox Church is looking across the West and saying, what's happened to you guys? Where's your family values? Anyway, you get the idea. All right, control of trade routes. They want power, control, money. Of course, Iran and Iraq want to vanquish Israel and please Allah. Oh, and there's that pipeline thing again. All right, the next team, well, they're kind of on both sides. Turkey, and here's the pipeline story. Turkey also helped to train the jihadists who overthrew Assad. What does Turkey want? Rebuild the Ottoman Empire, control northern Syria, which they always thought was theirs. They've got a Kurdish problem. I think those are the old Medes from the Persian Mede empires of days of yore. Power, control, money, and now this pipeline. All right, let's look at, let me make sure I got the colors right. All right, blue starts in Qatar. Let's look at the red pipeline first. It starts in Iran. Notice how it kind of shoots up at an angle, then does a hard left turn, and it goes up through Iran, across Iraq, that's all friendly territory for those guys, into Syria. Then the pipeline would go underwater in the Mediterranean, that's pretty common now, and probably shoot up through Greece. It's a natural gas pipeline, and it's worth a ton of money if you control the natural gas into Europe. Competing pipeline number 2. That one starts down in Qatar. Shocking, huh? That shoots through Saudi Arabia, up through Syria again, and into Turkey. Erdogan in Turkey wants to control the distribution of the natural gas throughout Europe, or it could even go the other way, into Central Asia. There is so much money in that. He wants that pipeline along with the Ottoman Empire and that kind of thing. So he's constantly switching sides, and he totally betrayed Russia and Iran with what he did here in Syria. All right, speaking of Syria and Lebanon motives, survive. They're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they just need to try to get through this. We'll move on. And then we've got the Arab League. The Arabs, what do they want? Well, Saudi Arabia and all those kingdoms across there, they want to maintain the status quo. They're making a lot of money. Next, they want to avoid theocracies. What do you have in Iran? The Ayatollahs running things. They don't want that. They want to remain kings or generals. They don't want the priests running the show. So what's happening here? Put all of this together now, and there's one other piece. Theology. I mean, in Ukraine, you've got Christians fighting Christians over land, power, natural resources, trade routes, money, power control, the usual. Well, when you have a war in the Middle East, all those things are in there, but you also have to throw in Shia versus Sunni, sect versus sect, Christians versus Jews, Jews versus Muslim. Maybe. All of this is coming together right now in Damascus, the capital of Syria. That's the center of gravity. And there's a whole religious piece to this thing. You understand the complexity of this, even at the most basic level, all these players, all these different motivations? Walt and I said that 2025 will be the year of conflict. Well, not hard to predict here. I can't find a diplomatic solution to this thing. I can't find a economic solution. Let's just pay everybody off. I can't find a higher religious solution. Let's say the appeal to God. Come on, everybody. I can't even agree on the same God. It's going to be conflict. So what does that mean to you? We built the portfolios for chaos in 2024, conflict coming up. Grip the sides of your chairs. It's not the end of the world, but we're going to have a lot of volatility based on a lot of uncertainty and conflict in 2025. Please know we're watching it. We're watching out for your funds. And with that, I'll turn it over to Walt.